Yen walked briskly down the university corridor, her bag swinging lightly from her shoulder. The sun streamed through the tall glass windows, casting golden lines across the floor. She was heading toward her locker when a familiar voice reached her ear. Her heart stuttered. It was a Jack. She instinctively slowed down, trying to slip away unnoticed, but the sound of her name made her stop completely. Around the corner, Jack stood with his friends, laughing mysteriously. One of his friends nudged him with a grin. So you are really dating Yen now? Jack scoffed, shaking his head, a smile curling on his lip. Date her, please. I am just passing time. The boys erupted into laughter. Jack pride dripping from his tone. It was just a bet I made with Yuri. Seriously, do you think a girl like Yen is even worth dating? Their laughter echoed down the hallway. Yen's leg went cold. The world seemed to tilt beneath her feet, her eyes stung with unshed tears, but she clenched her jaw, refusing to let them fall. Quietly, she turned, retrieved her bag from the locker, and walked out of the university, each step heavier than the last. At 24, Yen carried a quiet strength born of hardship and orphan, a scholarship student at Seoul National University. She was intelligent, smart, and painful simple hearted. She trusted easily, believed kind words, and wore her innocence like a fragile coat. That innocence had been her greatest flaw. In her final semester of business administration, she buried herself in her books, part time work, and the monotony of her life, trying to push Jack and the humiliation he had caused in the farthest corner of her memory. Days passed and weeks. She did not see him again. Her life had narrowed to a routine university, work, home, and study. One afternoon, Jack finally appeared in front of her, his expression a mixture of confusion and frustration. Yan, where have you been? You don't even met me anymore, he demanded. Yan looked at him, her gaze steady, empty of tears, unsoftened by the memory of their past. Call me, she said, Jack, I want to break up. His eyes widened. What? She continued, voice quiet but resolute. I know I was just a bet. I hate everything. That day it's better if we never met again. Without waiting for his reply, she turned and walked away, her head held high. Sam came dragging her into late night studies and endless cup of coffee. Dark circles shadowed her eye, but she preserved. She even took leave from her part-time job, and her manager, understanding and kind, allowed her the time. Weeks melted into months, and when the result came, she had once again topped her class. Yet, despite her stellar record, no job offer came her way. That evening, returning from work, she found an envelope laying by her apartment door. Her hand trembled as she opened it. The name printed on the letter made her heart skip. Yon Corporation, Korea number one company. Everyone dreamed, but infamous for its strict CEO, where even a single mistake could cost one career. Her invitation was for an interview, a secretary position. She could hardly breathe, excitement and nervous mixing in equal measures. The next morning, she dressed carefully, choosing a modest cream blouse tucked neatly into a high waisted black skirt. Low heels clicking softly against the floor. Her hair was pulled into a tiny high ponytail. Her makeup, light and natural, highlighted her feature without exaggeration. She looked at herself in the mirror one last time, drew a deep breath, and left for the towering building of John Corporation. At 9 sharp, she presented herself at the receptionist's desk. Stating her purpose, she was guided to the 23rd floor, where a dozen of candidates waited nervously. Time crawled until her name was called. She knocked lightly. May I come in? Come in, a deep voice replied inside. A man in his 60s sat behind a sleek desk. Hello, sir, she said politely. Hello, Miss Yan. Please sit. She handed him her CV, and he studied it carefully, then smiled. Impressive. Your academic record is excellent. After several questions, he leaned back. Satisfied you are hired, he declared and blinked in surprise. Sir, as your secretary, yes, temporarily. Next year, my son will join the company and then you will be his secretary. I sought the best for him and everything I was looking for I see in you. She bowed slightly. Thank you, sir, she whispered. Her first day at work began at 8 sharp. She did not want to be late. Mr. John introduced her to Mr. Hawan, who would train her within a month. She had learned everything efficiently, earning Mr. John's respect and trust. When her first salary arrived, she smiled quietly to herself. It was more than enough to live comfortably through, not extravagantly. To celebrate, she went out with her best friend Harry to a local club. They laughed, drank, and for a few hours let go of their worries. But as Anne staggered toward the washroom, dizzy from alcohol, she collided with a stranger. She tried to regain her balance, but strong arms catch her, pulling her close. She struggled weakly, but he lifted her, carrying her into a dimly lit room, locking the door behind them. The night became a blur of hazy touches and whispered confessions, the kind one could really remind in daylight. The morning sunlight found her with a throbbing head. She turned and her eyes widened in shock. A man was sleeping beside her. Turned away, panic set in as she glanced herself. Under the blanket, the evidence of last night hit her in full. She hurried dressed and slipped out, careful to avoid being seen. Moments later, the man woke. He scanned the room, then cursed, tossing aside the blanket. His eyes fell on a blood-stained sheet. He froze. She was a virgin. He whispered to himself, incredulous. He ran his hand through his hair. Frustration evident. Just then his phone rang. Yes, Dad, he answered. Jungkook, where are you? You don't come home last night. Your mother is worried. He exaggerated tension, leaving his shoulders reluctantly. I was with friends. I am coming home, he said and hung up, unaware that the girl from last night was about to change everything in his life. When Jungkook entered the mansion that morning, the atmosphere inside felt heavier than usual. His father sat in the living room, coffee in one hand and a newspaper in the other, the quiet authority of the house resting on his shoulders. His mother was nearby, speaking softly on the phone. The moment Jungkook said good morning, Mom, Dad, Mr. John immediately ended the call, relief washing over her face, but Mr. John slowly lowered his newspaper, his expression still. Where were you, Jungkook? His father asked, irritation clear in his voice. You do not come home all night. Your mother was worried. Jungkook dropped onto the seat, leaning back, running a hand through his hair, and if the matter was insignificant, a friend had a party. I stayed there. I forgot to inform you. Mr. Jones' jaw tightened in that you sense of responsibility. The board called me this morning. Jungkook, you have 1 year. If you do not have an hire within that time, you cannot become CEO. Miss John tried to soften the tension. Jungkook, my friend's daughter just came back from abroad. She is beautiful, educated from a good family. But Jungkook was not listening. His mind drifted to the dark room, blurred memories, and a pair of brown eyes that had shone like moonlight. He had never seen her face, only those eyes, yet he could not forget them. A month later, Ryan sat alone in her apartment when nausea suddenly rose in her throat. She ran to the bathroom, grabbing the sink as her body trembled. After 20 exhausting minutes, she stepped out weakly and then it hit her. Her period had not come. Her hand shook as she bought a pregnancy test. 15 minutes later, she started at the test. Positive, her legs gave out and she sat to the floor, tears storming down her face. This cannot be. It was just one night. Panicked, she rushed to the hospital. During the ultrasound, the cold gel on her stomach made her shiver as she stared at the screen. The doctor smiled at surprise. You are carrying triples. Wyan felt the world spin. 3 babies, 3 lives. Doctor, can I end this pregnancy? She whispered. The doctor's face turned into serious. Your body is weak. The pregnancy is fragile.
An abortion could kill you. You must carry them. Take these vitamins. Follow my diet. Avoid stress and heavy work. YN nodded numbly. Where Jungkook received a call by reviewing documents. Sir, the woman urine she has convinced 1 month pregnant. Jungkook's voice was claimed cold. Good. Inform me if anything is needed. I want that child at any cost. He ended the call unaware that fate had already tied him to someone he did not even remember. Months passed, YN worked until her body could no longer keep up. Pain in her back forced her to leave early. At 5 months, her growing stomach could no longer be hidden. One afternoon, she stood before Mr. John. Sir, I have been unwell. The doctor restricted commuting alone sitting. I was advised to work from home for 4 months. I cannot leave this job, please. Mr. John looked at her kindly. You are like a daughter to me. I'll arrange it when you return. My son will be in charge. You all work from him. She thanked him with tearful gratitude. When YN opened her eyes, everything felt heavy. Her body, her eyelid, the air, the bright hospital lights hurt. She turned her head slightly and saw Heron sitting beside her bed. Her eyes were swollen and red, her face streaked with dry tears. A cold fear settled in YN's chest. Heron, her voice came out dry and weak. Where are my babies? What happened? Tell me. Helen looked away, her lips shaking. Heron, please. YN began, panic rising. Say something. Where are they? Heron broke. A sob escaped her as she covered her mouth, tears spelling again. When they did not make it, the words do not make sense. YN stared at her, blinking slowly. What do you mean, did not make it? They were crying, right? My babies, they cried, right? Helen could only shake her head, crying harder. Something inside YN stared in complete silence. Her hand moved slowly to her stomach. It felt empty. No, she whispered, then louder, her voice breaking into peace. No, I waited. I talked to them every night. I felt them. I felt them. Her breathing because uneven. Tears spilling endlessly. This was not dramatic crying. It was broken, raw, breathless grief. The kind that hurts physically. Her chest felt like it was collapsing inward. I stayed awake from them. I tried to eat. I tried to be careful. She cried. Why they are not with me? Why? She cried until her body shook, until her head throbbed, until she could no longer breathe properly. The doctor came in quietly and gave her medication to calm her, to make her keep, not because sleep could fix anything, but because her body could not survive that level of shock. The month that followed was not leaving, it was exiting. Mayan bravely spoke. The house felt bigger, emptier. Sometimes she would wake up in the middle of the night, her hand moving to her stomach out of habit, only to freeze when she felt nothing. The silence inside her was louder than any noise. Doctors told her there had been complications, weak pregnancy, babies sometimes fall. Nature is cruel. Words meant to explain what could never feel explainable. But she knew one thing, something inside her had died with them. Heron stayed. She fed her, sat beside her, forced her to shower, to breathe, to step outside the room. Slowly, very slowly, Wayan began to function again, but she was no longer the same girl. The softness in her eyes had faded. Trust had drained out of her. She spoke less, felt less. After a month, she returned to work. Time passed quietly. After that, days slipped into weeks and weeks dissolved into months while YN worked from home, her life sinking into a small routine that revolved around nausea, exhaustion, and the fragile lives growing inside her. Pregnancy was not gentle with her. Every morning began with waves of sickness that left her weak fingers trembling as she held the sink, her body rejecting even the smell of food. Some days she could barely stand long enough to make tea. Her lower back ached constantly a deep sadness that made sitting too long impossible. Yet, through all the discomfort, something inside her had charged. Her heart had begun to belong to the tiny souls he had not even seen yet. At night, when the world grew quiet and loneliness wrapped around her apartment, she would is on her side, one hand resting protectively over her small but growing bump, whispering softly. She told them about her day, about the clouds she saw from the window, about how she would try to be strong for them. She did not know what it happened, but somewhere between the doctor visits and sleepless nights, fear had turned into attachment. There were no longer a mistake, there were her babies. 4 more months passed, and her due date come close. Her body had grown weaker, moments slower. Walking from the bedroom to the kitchen left her breathless, knowing she could no longer manage alone. She called her friend Harry to stay with her. That afternoon, Ryan was sitting on the sofa holding a glass of juice, trying to ignore the dull heaviness in her abdomen. The house was quiet except for the sound of dishes in the kitchen where Heron was working. Then suddenly a sharp pain tore through her stomach. It was not like the usual discomfort, it was deeper, tighter. Wrong, the glass slipped from her hand and started on the floor. As both her hands flew to her belly, her breathing turned shallow. Another pain came stronger. She could not even call properly. Heron come running at the sound of breaking glass. Why and what happened? Pain, it hurts my stomach. Why and manage her face, pale, lips trembling. Within minutes, Heron had grabbed her bag, helped her into the car, and rushed her to the hospital. Fear clawing at her chest the entire way. She walked straight to her desk, organized her files, rebuilt her schedule like nothing had happened. Work became her shield. When she knocked on the CEO cabin door and a firm voice said, "Come in," she did not flinch. Pain like her had made tones meaningless. He stepped inside and froze for half a second. It was not Mr. John, it was his son. Jungkook looked up and his heart skipped for a reason he could not understand. Something about her eyes felt similar, like a memory he could not reach. But Ryan stood there like stone. "I am far fine, your secretary," she said, her voice clean, cold, professional. "This is your schedule." Her tone made something prickle under his skin. At the restaurant, Jungkook and Ryan were attending an important meeting at the restaurant. Several investors sat around a table discussing business while lunch was being served. The atmosphere was professional and everyone was focused on the meeting. YN stood quietly beside Jungkook, taking notes and making sure everything was running smoothly. However, her attention kept drifting toward a small child playing near a nearby table. Again and again, her eyes would move toward the little boy. She watched him law run around his parents and cling to his mother's land. A painful ache settled inside her chest. For a moment, tears gathered in her eyes. She quickly looked away and lowered her head, forcing herself to focus on work. She did not want anyone to see her crying, especially not her boss. But Jungkook noticed. He noticed every single time her eyes went toward the child. But he had seen them and the rest of the meeting. Jungkook could not stop thinking about it. Why did she look at children like that? Why did she look at if her heart was breaking? Why did her eyes cry so much sadness? For the first time, he realized something. Why and was not cold. She was hurt. There was a difference, a very big difference.